Welcome back. This week, I thought I would show you what I'm working on. This is a slight expansion or new adaptation of one of my favorite techniques of slow stitching and one of my best-selling kits, which was this one. Let me show you. So this was my iris, or is, I should say. It's not discontinued, my iris kit, where I use beautiful couture fabrics. We applicate it onto some silk organza, and then just with metallic thread, just some very simple stitching. And I love this kind of slow meditative stitching. As a art therapist, it just ticks all the boxes for me. As a textile artist, it ticks all the boxes for me, because I get to play with beautiful fabrics and rearrange them. And every time I teach this or do this piece, it will be different and have its own personality. So this one you can see just, yeah, simple stitches. As this one is a little bit different, kind of the same technique where we use beautiful couture fabrics and build a palette and have audition fabrics and play with them and see what we like where. But I'm doing quite a lot more stitching. And when I began this project, I kind of had an idea, but I didn't have a clear, A to Z of where I was going, how I was going to stitch it. So I started with this big back pedal up here, and I've just worked my way through and basically let each pedal inform me how to stitch the next pedal. And I think that is such a metaphor for life because a lot of us want the answers, A to Z. How do we get there? I don't want to be traveling in the unknown. Um, but I think that's actually in the unknown is where the best, juiciest creative ideas are born. So I've just been taking it slowly and stitching along and just allowing it to, inform me and show me the next step in each petal. And I'm not sure I'm finished with even these back petals. Um, this is, I'm calling this layer one, and I may go back and do more layers over time or, sit with it. I always think that's a really good thing if you look at a piece and you're not sure if it's finished, because that's something one of my students asked me a lot. How do I know if it's finished? Well, you feel it. You feel it in your body. And so often when I've done, say, the first layer of stitching, I will put this frame up somewhere in my studio or in my house where I'm walking past it, several times a day. And I'm not consciously thinking about, is it finished? Is it balanced? Whatever. I'm just allowing it to talk to me. And sometimes in the morning, I'll wake up and I'll look at a piece and it's like, oh, yeah, I need to add something here. Or sometimes I'll just walk past and think, yeah, that is done. Oops, I've just got a knot in my thread, which is very annoying. Let me get rid of that if I can. No, I can't, so I'm going to have to rethread. Okay, so let's talk about these threads. Part of why I wanted to make this video today was just to share about the pure joy of threads. So these are the threads that I'm using. Now, these are 100% pure silk. This is the brand name. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Kinkame. These are Japanese threads. Now, I bought these when I was teaching embroidery in San Francisco at the San Francisco School of Needlework. And I went to a lovely fabric shop called Britex. So if you've been to San Francisco or if you live there, you'll know exactly it's an iconic shop. And in Australia, there aren't many pure silk threads available. So when I saw these in these gorgeous colors of, these are all dark, rich diox purple, like eggplant, aubergine colors. They're reading blue a little bit on the screen, so I hope you can actually see them for the beautiful colors that they are. But I just love them. And you can see some of them I haven't even used. Some of them I've just unwrapped and started using on this project. I did use some in my tambour work when I first got back from the States. But it was just really lovely to go to my stash. And I have to say, I enjoy shopping. I enjoy gathering. For me, it's a really, really big part of the whole creative process. And often when I travel, I will, take advantage of that and look for different materials and different threads and different beads and sequins. And I just put them in my stash. And I know I have some students who will say, yeah, but what are you going to use it for? It's like, well, I don't know yet, but the time will come and I will know. And I think that's the beauty of having a big stash, especially with the way the world is going now. I've got things that I've collected and gathered over the last, 20, 30 years that you just can't buy. They're not available anymore. So the luxury or the pleasure or the joy, all of the delight of stitching this piece with predominantly these pure silk threads have just been absolutely joyful to me. And I bought these in 2019, just before COVID hit, and I just am so grateful that I have them and have the opportunity to stitch with them. So I guess that's what one of the favorite parts of my creativity is gathering the materials. And some people just skip over the importance of that. But for me, it's the fun part. I'm a pretty serious, deep thinking person. And a few years ago, it was like, well, how can I introduce more fun and more playfulness into my life? And the answer that I came up with was buying more materials for my art stash. So whether that's paints or fabrics or threads or beads or sequins, it doesn't matter. It all fills me with joy, and I find all of it super fun and super exciting. I'll get on a shopping high that will last for days if I've had found some vintage silks or some vintage sequins or something that's just really unusual and exceptional. So I guess my rambling here is about how do you feel about gathering your supplies, whatever your medium is? Do you just find it a chore? It's like, oh, I have to go out and get new, blah, blah, blah. Or do you absolutely take pleasure in it? And again, it's getting back to that unknown. You don't know necessarily when you buy something where you're going to use it or how you're going to use it. But I just trust, like, I buy colors, only colors that speak to my soul, that light me up when I look at them. I'll often, like, this is a bit weird, but especially with my yarns, I'll often just open the drawer and stroke them or just hold them in my hand because, like, look at the color of that, turquoise. It just fills my soul with joy. And I'm sure that as a creative, you understand what I'm talking about. Even though, it does sound a little unbalanced as I'm sharing this, I have to say, but I'm being authentic, right? So I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm just sharing the delight that I experience when I, yeah, find little treasures. And I truly believe that in time, all of these treasures will just be the perfect thing for whatever future project I'm working on. And it's lovely, when that creative impulse or motivation kicks in. Sometimes the energy just flows through my body and I get really excited. It's like, yes, I need to start that right now, even if it's in the middle of the night. And, it's wonderful to be able to go to your own stash and explore and find. And I'll be honest, I do forget. I've got such an extensive range of fabrics and things that I do forget what I've got. And so I'll go searching and it's like, oh, yeah, remember when I bought that? I was in San Francisco and blah, 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 blah. And, all those experiences come back and the excitement of where I found these things or who gifted them to me. That's another one. As some of my clients have become older and stopped stitching or moved house or wanted to declutter, people will often share their stashes with me. And it's like, oh, yes, please, I'll take that. And if the colors aren't for me, then I'll find somebody who will delight, and use them and cherish them. So that legacy gets passed on as well. So I guess that's really all I wanted to say is take pleasure in the gathering of your, the whole hunter-gatherer thing I think is quite primal for us as human beings. And that whole yeah, just take pleasure in the gathering. And I'm not suggesting you hoard, I think that's a different layer. But when you find a material um, or a thread or a color of paint or a brush or something that just speaks to you, then take pleasure in that and buy it and treasure it and put it in your stash and enjoy it. I'm going to swap cameras so I can talk to you properly. So yeah, think about that. Let that, seep into you because I think it's one of those extra ways that we can really add joy and pleasure to our creative process. And sometimes if I'm feeling a bit tired and I haven't got that high creative buzz, I will just, look at my threads or appreciate the beauty of them. And I often say to my students, even if I never use all of this fabric that I have collected, the pure pleasure of collecting it was the joy, was the healing part of it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't get used, it will be passed on to somebody else who will love it. Um, so yeah, my encouragement to you this week is just to play. Play with colors, play with threads, play with different stitches. I don't know where this one's going to go. I don't know how it will end up, but I'm really enjoying the process. And I do always feel slightly uneasy. There's a little bit of fear in my tummy when I start to stitch something and I don't know exactly where I'm going with it. But that's also how I build trust and how I build faith and knowing in myself as a creative. And it's like, if I don't like it, I can undo it. I can unpick it. I can change a color out. Everything can be fixed. It's not like it's you only get one go and then it's wrong. And even if it is wrong, if you're painting and you make a mark and you don't like it, paint over it, collage over it. Everything can be fixed. There's always a way around things. So I'm full of creative energy today. I'm going to stitch a little bit longer for this one, and then I'm going to hop over and make my video for Patreon. This one's for my YouTube followers. Hello. So I hope this has inspired you to maybe do some slow stitching or to take, like this was version 1 of my slow stitching style. And now this is like I'm expanding it into something similar but new. Um, so where can you do that in your creative practice? Where can you take something that you already are good at, that you've taken lots of pleasure with, but just expand it or change it up a little bit and bring some of that fresh creative energy into it? So I am not affiliated with the beautiful Japanese silk, but I'll put the link to Britex, which is where I bought them from, down in the show notes. And if you would like to do a little bit of slow stitching, I will put the link to this kit. It comes with all the couture curated fabrics. I hand make each one and each kit is slightly different. And that one comes with step-by-step video instructions. Now, those instructions are there to show you how I did it and to give you some basics, but I'm really going to encourage you in that lesson to take what I've, inspired, that seed of inspiration, but then make it your own. Stitch in a way that, works for you. I put metallic thread in that kit. If you don't like metallic thread, change it up. add more beads, add more sequins, do whatever it is that's right for you. And yeah, just revel and delight in that creative joy, and your own unique expression of creativity. So have a wonderful week, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.